Welcome to Session 7, Writing the Case Plot. Last week, in the Session 6, we talked on conceptualizing the scenario and the complexity. This program is about enhancing executive capability and decision-making skills with in-company case studies. This is being brought to you by METL Global Perspectives, www.metl.in. A case plot comprises the interplay between the protagonist and the case situation. While the topics and subtopics have been thought through, the case plot now needs to be worked out. A case must be written well. Readers must find it interesting and intriguing. It need not be written like a mystery novel, but it should not be a rambling one either. A case writer should keep a few good cases handy, the ones where the writing style appeals to the case writer and over time can develop and pursue own style. I keep two case studies handy and close to me. One of them is Amul and the other one is on Kumbh Mela. Another case which I am very fond of is on Jack Smith, the making of a Toyota manager. It highlights the contrast very beautifully of Toyota and GM and the way of working and the style in which managers are brought up. So keep some cases with you, keep some good books with you which you refer to for the style of writing. There are 4 steps to evolving the case plot. Step 1, creating the plot chain. Step 2, identifying the actors and the role they played. Step 3, aligning with the dilemma. And step 4, provide all the necessary information, maybe more, but definitely not less. Step 1. Creating the plot chain. A classical case plot will comprise the situation, the process to address it, the expected challenge, the fallback options, and the surprise element that threw everything off gear. Then how everyone got together to resolve the surprise element, much to the satisfaction of all. This plot can be put as a timeline, as a mind map, to get all the pieces in place. In case you are a visual person, then draw it out like a mind map. Else, make sure that you identify all the elements, instances, and capture them completely. Step 2. Identify the actors. Supporting all this would be the normal way of working in the organization, the protagonist's leadership style, how did it develop over time, and the background of the organization. Who were there? Who all were there now? Before the entire plot is brought out, the various characters, the external situation, the norms and guidelines, rules and regulations must be mentioned. In case 3 or 4 actors might be there other than the protagonist. At times, the entire case is built around the protagonist only when it comes to the dilemma, though in the historical perspective, some more people can be involved in it. Align with the dilemma. Keep linking back to the dilemma. There is a business as usual approach and there is the scenario of the case where much more needs to be done. Use the dilemma as a game board where all the players come in place and do their bit to complicate or resolve the issue. So never venture out of the dilemma and the strings that are attached to it. Every bit of information in the case that is provided must somehow or the other be related to the dilemma. Provide comprehensive information. Step 4. Ensure that the reader has all the information in the body of the case to understand the situation and analyze the same. Often, case writers give a lot of information that is a deliberate attempt to mislead the reader. The reader needs to cut through the overload of information and arrive at the conclusion that is complete. In case the readers have to analyze more from the data provided to resolve the dilemma, the additional information can be put in the appendix of the case. For instance, if there are 4 products and the readers have to choose which one of them the company should continue to sell and discontinue 3 of them, then the case writer can just give an analysis historical analysis of what all happened, how the products were developed, what was the competency of the organization, who sold, which product sold how much, and can say that the management then decides to go for the product A based on the criteria of profitability. However, the readers can analyze the same data differently to say that perhaps the per piece contribution of a particular product is far better, and therefore profitability, when an ABC analysis of costing is not being done, is perhaps not the right way to go with it. So there are different ways to look at it, and even if there is a dilemma has been resolved by the case protagonist in a particular way, the readers might like to comment on it differently. Now, when it comes to the comprehensiveness of information, therefore, the additional information and sufficient information to make this decision should be available in the case body or in the appendix. Now let us apply all of these 4 steps to a turnaround case, an instance that I'll be covering over the next 4 slides. Step 1. Plot chain for turnaround case. Consider a case being written on turnaround of an organization. Such a case would have the current situation and the challenge facing the protagonist. Then cover the earlier situation and what went wrong in it and why it went wrong. Through the data and information, establish the decisions that led to the need for the turnaround at the first place. These can be around strategy, pre and post, people, pre and post, measure, pre and post, processes, pre and post, structure, pre and post, workflow, pre and post, information flow, pre and post. So much of information needs to be gathered and provided into the case to make this plot chain comprehensive. Step 2. Actors for the turnaround case. Then bring in the protagonist and why was the individual expected to make the turnaround happen? Why did the management or the board feel that the individual is the right person? The past leadership's capability and the style of operation. Then dwell on the situation that was at hand and the various options that the protagonist could choose from. Then suggest the different approaches that were recommended by other key members and the one that was agreed upon as the way ahead. It has to take care of many actors in this kind of a thing: the old management, the new management, the workforce which is there, the machinery which is there, the processes which are there, the operating environment which is there, the external environment which is there, the material supply which is there. There is just so many things which are to be elaborated and figured out. And why the last management could not work, whereas the new entity which has come in can have a shot at the turnaround of that particular organization. Step 3. Dilemma for the turnaround case. The case dilemma is around the right option to be chosen and how to go about deciding the same. In case as the case ends, the question to the reader is to suggest the appropriate strategy out of the few that were listed in the case. Another dilemma can be on how to decide at all to select the right option. What can be the criteria underlying that? A few cases are written contrasting the styles of 2 leaders of companies. A company that grew and another in the same industry that ran aground. What happened? Why? These are very interesting contrast cases which are written, and they have a lot of learning in them as well. A turnaround case can also be written as a contrast case. Step 4. Information for turnaround case. Comprehensive information must be provided in the case body. The information should enable the reader connect the protagonist as an individual, the dilemma arising due to the scenario, the business situation, and the scenario that give rise to the case. All the external influences must also be brought into the case. These can be government policy, a competitor's pitch in the marketplace, a legal situation, a workforce challenge, or an environmental issue. At times, these elements might make the case comprehensive and have very significant impact on the dilemma and in resolving it. Information related to capital requirement, technology readiness, competitive scenario, market needs, customer requirements, workforce needs, the supply chain need to be provided. So any questions that you have? In the case that you're writing, create your case plot. Identify the plot chain, actors, dilemma, and the information. Look for the obvious gaps or the missing pieces or the much more detailing that is required. Message me your queries and I'll try to revert as soon as I can. You can reach to me at sogata@metl.in. Next week, we will have the session 8, which is on interviewing to get information.